Today we are working on a 2014 BMW X3. It's got the N20 engine, and that is the 4-cylinder turbo. And customer's complaint is pretty simple. It's just check engine light on, and just wanted me to check it out. So far all that I've done is scanned it, and there's two codes in the engine computer, and I've got them here in the history, and it's these two top ones in the DME, and they are both related to the electronic wastegate, about the learning limit or position outside of tolerance. So that's it as far as check engine light and DME. So it's two codes. I personally never have dealt with this yet in the past, so it's the first time experiencing one of these for me. But simple enough, I guess. It's related to the wastegate. On this turbo, the wastegate is controlled electronically by that guy there, and so pretty much we can do is just some preliminary checks and inspect the wiring, check power, ground, signal, all that, and it might just simply be that the actuator needs to be replaced. But I'll just bring you along, since it's the first time seeing this trouble code and seeing what the signals look like or what's supposed to be there, and also to compare if we do go ahead and replace, kind of have a before and after as far as if there's any change or with a new one. The one that I'm particularly concerned with or wanting to take a reading on is the signal line. There is a basically position sensor, similar to, I would say, probably like a EGR position, like a lift position sensor. I'm assuming something to that extent. It's a 3-wire, a 5-volt sensor, ground, and the signal line back to the DME. Particularly curious on that signal, seeing what is on that in whatever position, and compare that with a new one if we do go ahead and do a new one, assuming that everything else is good on this. So it is a 5-wire connector. 3 are for the sensor, the other 2 are for the basically electric motor that actuates the linkage to open and close the wastegate. So I will try to see which wire is what, and then we'll take some readings. Okay, so I'm all set up here. Got the I'm tapped in the 3 lines, decided to watch and monitor 3 of them. 2 are the motor controls, and the 3rd is the signal line. So I got the scope set up, and what I want to do first is just do a key on, engine off, and see what that looks like. So open, reach in there, key it on. So the green one is the signal line. Other 2 are the motors. You can see the duty cycle as far as controlling the either opening or closing. but see the levers been pushed towards the left, and it's real close to that clamp actually. But it's definitely been extended and pushed in different positions, so, and it's holding it, so there's where that blue duty cycle comes in. And I will key it off. So there is that. And see, it's been pulled in towards the front of the vehicle, so it's definitely actuating and changing positions, and I will stop this now. Let's see what this looks like. So I said the green is going to be your signal, and blue and red are your motor control. The one thing that I'm looking at that doesn't really make sense is the signal line. Obviously tell the you know, the starting point, so at 0, all of them were. As soon as I keyed it on, okay, we've got voltage came in, and then the DME started controlling, which then raised it up to a certain position, and then it like stopped, it looks like, and then it went down and stayed steady at this level. Now, I don't know what it's supposed to be doing, what level it's supposed to be at. If it's normal or what. I'm not sure. I'd have to try to find another vehicle, or if we have to or end up replacing it, I guess we'll have to compare with that. But we are getting control. We're obviously getting our 5 volts into the sensor. This is what we're seeing coming out of it. Electrically, everything seems to be there. As far as, like I said, I'm not 100% sure what this is supposed to be at. I'm still trying to make sense of it, because when key was turned on, everything powered up, including the signal line, and then once DME started attempting to control it, it rose up, and then it went down, and then stayed steady. So I'm only going to assume that this steady portion here towards the bottom was when it was pushed out all the way, since it was being held with this duty cycle. And when we took a look at it physically with our eyes, it was pushed out all the way and stayed there. So I'm going to assume this is that position, all the way pushed out. And this is the travel towards that position. The fact that it rose up here, I'm wondering if it does kind of like a pre-flight check where maybe it pulled it in all the way first, like bottomed out, and then pushed it out all the way. I'm wondering if that is what that is. But what I'll do next, I will key it on again, let it sit for about a few seconds, and then I'll start the car and see what the signal looks like. Like I said, I will then I'll save that capture of it keyed on, engine off, with a startup, and then just compare it to either a different one or a new wastegate. So let me go ahead and do that now. Key on. And I'll start it up. You take a look and see what position it puts it in. So it pulls it back when running, which makes sense. The pulling it in is closing the valve. Fully extended is when it opens it. And then I'll key it off. So in the off position, it is pulled in. And I'll stop this. Okay, so I did another capture of it, key on and then startup. Just trying to take several and compare or see what it does. On this one, this was with it, off and fully asleep or whatever. Up to this point, this is where I keyed it up, and it again goes through like its flight check deal, and then it holds steady in a certain position. But what I noticed was that it wasn't being fully duty cycled. So then I went and eyeballed it, and at this point where I left just the key on and I saw no duty cycle and looked at it, it was in the what looks to be the pulled back position where it's not fully extended. So that was odd or different. Not sure why one time with key on it would fully extend it, and now this time with key on it leaves it closed. So that's odd or different. So this is the, I guess, closed position. And so I left the key on for a good amount of time. and still this is still just key on. And at this point, halfway through this page, is where I went ahead and started the vehicle. And you could then see some control activity going on, but then this stayed pretty much level at the same point. And then what I did here, I revved it up and it moved it and came back. I revved it up again and then came back, and then here is where I turned the engine off. I'm assuming revving at idle, this position is the towards the extended, where it opens the wastegate to not build up boost at idle free revving. So I can assume this is the extended position. This is back to the closed position, which is where it stayed steady from the key on position. And I also eyeballed it to see where it was at that point, and it is at the closed position. What then is weird or odd is when I keyed it off, it then voltage then rose back up and held steady at a higher point than the closed position, but when I visually eyeballed it, it looked to be like still in the same position, unless it just slightly moved. I'm not 100%, so I don't know exactly what it's doing, because I can't eyeball it as the key gets turned on and off. If I had a second person, it might be a little bit easier to understand. So I don't know. It must, maybe, I guess it has to have moved slightly to the open when the key was turned off. But again, not 100% sure what a good one's supposed to be. But this is what it is. I'll try to look up some service information, see if I get any kind of tips as far as how it's supposed to operate, or voltages or anything. But I think we're just simply going to go ahead and probably just tell the customer, unless I can find one here on the lot. I don't know if I've got one with an electronic wastegate. Actually, I might. I'll have to go look outside. If I can't find one to compare, I think we might just simply go ahead and replace the electronic wastegate and then compare it. Hopefully we'll see something different. I might also look at maybe some bulletins. It might be a programming issue. I might try that first. Not sure. But this is what I've got, what I'm capturing and gathering with an unknown condition, possibly bad condition. So once we make a change, find a good one, either way, I'll get a recording of that and bring you guys along. So before we go ahead and tell the customer they're possibly going to need a actuator, I came in here and was trying to just clear the codes and see if I can actuate it through the scanner or see any data or positions, but unfortunately this one doesn't let me actuate it or have data on it, so I simply was just gonna try to clear the fault, and it does have an option for performing adjustment like a calibration, so I started to try and do that procedure all with this original same wastegate. I was just messing around, and the codes come back right away as soon as because it cycles the key. When you clear the fault, it turns it off and then turns it back on, and then you go to reread and the code pops up again. Same two codes pop up, obviously, because when it goes through the key cycle, it runs through the flight check, and that must be the time point where it is seeing the fault. And to perform any of the calibration or adjustment of the wastegate in that other procedure, it does not let you if there is fault codes stored for the wastegate. So it kicked me out of that, and when I went back in here, that's when I saw that the codes won't clear even if I try to clear them, because once it cycles the key, the wastegate goes through its flight check. So sitting here reading, just pondering, and it kind of, this one here in particular, sitting here and just reading the description, and I tell a lot of people, other shops or when people call me, I always ask for what's the description. You have to try to understand what it's telling you, what the description is, or try to make sense of it. So just sitting here, and this might be nothing. We still might need the actuator. Wastegate. But sitting here and reading, it says, obviously the first part of it describes what component the wastegate. Second is the wastegate learning limit stop. Okay, and then it goes on. The stop position is outside tolerance, and it's describing the stop position as the wastegate in its open position. So I was sitting here and thinking that the stop position is outside of tolerance, and the stop position, as far as what they're saying here, is when the wastegate is open. Now, when the wastegate is open, that is, it's fully pushed out and extended. Now, if you remember, I mentioned something about the clamp being fairly close to it when it was fully extended. So what I am going to do, and this is just for messing around, I'm going to relocate that clamp and see if it does anything. I'm wondering if in its open state, it's hitting that and not letting it fully travel all the way to a happy position for the computer. Might help, might not be anything, and it might still need the actual actuator. So I don't know. I think it's worth a try. I have the voltage reading saved, so I can very easily check the the levels, different levels, see if it travels to a different set point, which could confirm. If not, then that's not what it was, and we'll still need an actuator. So I think it's worth a try, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and then take another capture. Okay, This is the key on flight check deal for the signal. I've kind of made a crude just to quickly write down voltages at the states. So I'll go ahead and I'm gonna have my ground on. Okay. Just quickly, I've got the clamp unbolted and moved upwards out of the way. I shouldn't have to run it. Just key on and stuff. I'll try to clear the code and see what happens. So, let's see. Actually, I think I see something already. It's yeah, I think it already looks different. Yeah, definitely. I'm wondering if that's what all that it's gonna be. Wow, yeah, that definitely looks different. Let's see, just to compare. So this is dead, idle, key on, then travel. So let's do the first key on point. Okay, so that's the same. About the 3.24. Let's, even though the ramping looks different. 4041. Okay, that's different. The way it goes down, definitely. The ramping and stuff, I think, is what looks the most different. So that one is 559 millivolts. This one was at 924. So 559. So that means that it's traveling lower to 559. Possibly being blocked and only being able to reach the 924. And then that one 761 to so it's definitely different characteristic. Slightly different. Let me see. I'll go back to this one. So, alright, let me do that. Let me see if we can clear codes. This is when it cycles through the key on its own when clearing codes. what I'll do is I'll cycle the key again, and then it's kind of hard to see, but so it's key off. Key on. No codes. I believe that's going to be a fix. I think that's all that it was. Let me turn it off again. Pause this. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely different characteristic. Yeah, the ramping and stuff is just so much more rapid. And then I think the main so this is when it starts to fully extend. It has to be. So maybe the flight check is to pull in and then pull in and fully extend and leave it open. I wonder if that's the way the wastegate does its flight check, which then when revving it because it would raise up, must be pulling in. So it is, I guess, essentially holding in boost or trying to build boost when revving, even at idle, I guess. At a standstill, I would think that it would kind of free spin and not try to build boost, but that looks like that's the way the travels go. Okay, so went ahead and put the bolt back in, and it appears to be good and out the way. And then I'll do one last recording capture, key on, and make sure no code comes back, and we'll do startup and running also. There's that. So key on, goes through its flight check deal, and still no code, so that means that clamp and bolt are out of the way far enough. I'll cycle the key just to get some captures. So there's that, and we'll get some revs in there. So you see the bottom green goes up, so it is upward travel is pull in, holding the wastegate closed. So yeah, I was wrong before. It actually pulls it shut tight when the voltage goes up. So there's that, and then I'll go ahead and I'll shut it off. So turn it off fully. Go stop the scope. Quick analyze, and it should be good. So, and there, that is. So this is fully extended. Key off. It pulls it back in, and that's its rest state. So it's pulled back. It must not be fully seated or fully all the way back, because obviously you can tell that it travels up higher than this level when revving it. So when it pulls it shut, closed, it peaks out at that point to make sure that it seals the wastegate. So somewhere in that range, so you can see the difference. So that's its rest state, pulled in, shut, raises up a little bit, and its fully extended state would be down here. You know, open, rev up, closes it, release, rev up, closes it, release, and the open state until you key it off. So that is a proper operating wastegate signal line. And like I said, the dead giveaway was here at this point during the flight check. Where the voltage that it reached fully extended was at a lower voltage point because it extended further as opposed to up here. So definitely 100% visually confirmed also with before and after of simply just relocating the clamp. Able to see that is all that it was. It just fully wasn't able to travel all the way, and you can see it with the voltage readings. Now, small little confession on this. I had this engine out completely about 2 years ago. I did the infamous N20 timing chain replacement, the chain module, guides, all that, tensioner, oil pump chain module. I replaced the oil pump as well, and also replaced the whole turbo assembly. This is a brand new one from BMW, 2 years ago. So it was here at the shop when the work was done. That clamp was put in that spot here at this shop when the work was done. The crazy thing is it's been 2 years, and this is partially why I wanted to check that route when I was sitting in there clearing the codes and reading the description. That linkage, especially on the older turbos, it is known for creating or having some wear on it, and it's part of what I was wanting to, why I was wanting to do what I did. This is another N20 turbo. Unfortunately, this is a non-electric wastegate style, so I didn't have another wastegate, but luckily we didn't have to go that route. But this is your wastegate, the linkage, the lever, whatever you want to call it, and it is known for this pivot area to kind of wallow out or wear out and have some wear on it. Like you can hear and see a little bit of that wobble and wear, and some of it is acceptable. It's once it gets too far gone that you start to have some issues. On the older versions, it would pull in, but it wasn't fully closing this, so you'd have basically a leak and wasn't able to build up boost, so you'd have low boost codes. But it's a theory, an idea, kind of led me to just check that. So all in all, clamp just needed to be relocated. No more trouble codes. Everything's gonna be fine. No parts needed. Not even gonna charge them for this. So nothing crazy. Cool small little diagnostics with the scope and the signal line. And that is going to be it on this one. Hope you liked it. I hope it gives you some ideas of testing methods or the way that the wastegate operates on these BMWs. So as far as the signals and voltage and the flight check. So if you ever get one of them, make sure to eyeball that clamp and that it is not in the way of the travel of the wastegate.